Hello students, in this module we shall be discussing about composting of solid waste. Composting is a biological process in which non-toxic organic fraction of the solid waste is converted into compost, and that compost can be used as a soil conditioner in our agricultural fields to maintain their health. The learning objectives of this module are that what is composting, what are the properties of compost that is produced as a result of composting process, what are different phases of the composting process, and what are different steps carried out during composting. We will also study about optimum conditions that are required for good composting. Along with that, we will discuss different composting technologies and technological options that are available for the composting in rural areas. What is solid waste management? These can be classified based upon the material type. For example, these can be classified as plastic, paper, glass, metal and organic waste. Solid waste can also be classified based upon their hazards potential, based upon their radioactive properties, flammability, infectious nature, toxicity or non-toxicity. Similarly, solid waste can also be classified on the basis of their origin. On the basis of their origin, solid waste can be classified as industrial waste, domestic waste, commercial waste, institutional waste or construction and demolition waste. Let me come to the functional components of a waste management system. The functional components of a waste management system include several steps, and these steps are waste generation. Basically, this include identifying the type of materials. Second step is on-site handling, storage and processing. Next step is waste collection. Next step is waste transfer and transport. Then waste processing and recovery. Then waste treatment. This waste treatment may be thermal treatment, biological treatment. Composting is also a type of treatment, and finally is the disposal. So, this is the total scheme of any waste management system. At present, several methods are used for solid waste management. These methods are open dumping, open burning, hog feeding, landfilling, incineration, recycling, pyrolysis, biomethanation, livestock feeding, fuel briquetting, composting and vermicomposting. In addition to these, there may be several other methods which may be in use for the management of solid waste. Out of these all methods, open dumping and open burning are very common in India, but these methods are very bad methods. These methods are not recommended methods. These methods are not considered as scientific methods for the disposal of solid waste, because if we do open dumping, that time wherever these solid wastes are disposed, we are creating problem in that area, and that this open dumping may lead to water pollution, air pollution, or even the stray animals, those visit this open waste dump site may be infected by different pathogens which are present in that waste. Similarly, if we do open burning, then open burning is also very harmful, because when we are doing open burning, we are doing nothing but we are changing the phase of the solid waste. We are converting our waste from solid phase to gaseous phase. So, when we burn our waste, that time toxic gases are produced, and those toxic gases may be very harmful. Similarly, hog feeding was very common in the colonial periods, but later on it was found that if hogs mean pigs, if these hogs are fed on the raw waste, that may lead to some viral diseases in those people those eat pork. Yes, pyrolysis is a very good method. In the pyrolysis process, we can recover energy. Similarly, recycling is also a very good method. Fuel briquetting method is usually used for those wastes which are having lesser moisture content and higher calorific value. Here the waste is converted into a briquette, and that briquette can be used as a fuel. Normally, fuel briquetting is done of the agricultural waste. Composting and vermicomposting and biomethanation, these all are biological processes. In this particular module, we will be concentrating on the composting. Let me have a look on the composition of Indian municipality solid waste. This table shows the composition of Indian municipality solid waste. Here I would like to mention one thing. As you know that solid waste is highly heterogeneous in nature, depending upon the season, depending on the community, depending on the nation. So, it is very difficult to give a comprehensive composition to the solid waste. So, the composition that is shown here in this table is very empirical in nature and has been given by Central Pollution Control Board, and according to this, Indian municipality solid waste contain about 40% compostable matter, about 3.8% grass, 0.81% paper, 0.62% plastic, 0.44% glass and ceramics, 0.64% metal content, about 41 to 42% are stones or ashes, or you can say inert materials, and about 11.7% are the miscellaneous components, those cannot be identified. So, out of this, the first three are non-toxic, organic and biodegradable component of the Indian municipality solid waste. By the process of composting, these components of the Indian municipality solid waste that constitute to be about 45% can be converted into compost, and then this compost can be used in our agricultural fields to maintain the nutrient status. What is composting? Composting is a biological process of decomposition or degradation in which the solid waste is progressively broken down by living organisms. The final product of composting is called as compost, and this can be used as soil conditioner to maintain soil health. Compost is a rich manure consisting of important plant nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, etc. Composting can be classified into several ways. On the basis of oxygen supply, composting process can be divided into two categories. One is aerobic composting and second one is anaerobic composting. Aerobic composting. In case of aerobic composting, aerobic microbes oxidize organic matter into carbon dioxide, nitrite and nitrate. This process is carried out in the presence of oxygen. Here carbon is used as source of energy and nitrogen is recycled. Anaerobic composting. In case of anaerobic composting, anaerobic microbes break down organic matter through the process of reduction. This process is carried out in the absence of oxygen. Methane and carbon dioxides are evolved in the process of anaerobic composting. Several authors have classified composting into mesophilic composting and thermophilic composting on the basis of temperature. Mesophilic composting is that composting that is carried out in the temperature range of 25 to 45 degrees Celsius, whereas thermophilic composting is that composting that is carried out in the temperature range of 50 to 60 or higher degree Celsius temperature. Some other authors have classified composting as mechanical composting and windrow composting on the basis of technology used in the process. When this composting process is carried out in the enclosed spaces, then it is called as mechanical composting. When composting process is carried out in open, then this is called as windrow composting. It is important that compost should have certain physico-chemical properties so that it can be used as soil conditioner in the agricultural fields. Let me have a look on different physico-chemical properties of the compost. Normally compost is black brown in color or black in color with earthy odor. pH of compost is generally neutral, but pH range of 6.5 to 7.5 is also acceptable. Organic carbon content is generally about 33% in the compost. The compost should neither be dry, lumpy or watery. The level of nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus should be more than 1%. It has been found that in the compost these NPK are in the range of 1 to 2%. The CN ratio of compost should be in the range of 15 to 20 and nitrogen should be in the form of nitrates so that plants can usually utilize it. You know that nitrate is that form of nitrogen in which it is taken up by the plants. Standards for compost have been laid down by the Ministry of Environment and Forests, Government of India in the draft on Municipality Waste Management and Handling Rules 1999 and the same notified on 27th September 1999. This table shows the maximum acceptable limit of different metals in the compost. The arsenic should be less than 20 ppm. ppm means milligram per kilogram. Similarly, the maximum acceptable limit for cadmium is 20 ppm. Maximum acceptable limit for chromium is 300 ppm. For copper is 500 ppm. For lead is also 500 ppm. For mercury, this is 10 ppm. For nickel, this is 100 ppm, and for zinc, the maximum acceptable limit is 2500 ppm. There are several benefits of composting. Waste load going to dump sites or landfill sites is reduced significantly. Just now we have seen that about 45% organic component of municipality waste can be composted. So, if 45% components of the solid waste are composted, then certainly 45% lesser amount of solid waste will be going to the landfill sites. As a result of that, the age of our landfill sites will be doubled. When we do composting, then volume of the waste is reduced approximately by 50%. Compost can be used as a soil conditioner to maintain the soil health. You know that compost contain a number of nutrients which are essential for any plant growth. The nutrients present in the waste are recycled. Suppose we burn the solid waste. Once we burn the solid waste, we are also burning the nutrients that are present in the waste. But if we compost the solid waste, that time the nutrients that are present in the solid waste can be recycled again and again. Thermal inactivation of pathogens. You know that solid waste contain a number of pathogens, but when we do the process of composting, that time temperature goes up to 65 degree Celsius at a stage. So, at that temperature all kind of pathogens are killed, and whatever compost we get, that is pathogen free. Composting can be performed at any scale from household level to the regional level. So, these are some of the benefits of compost. Success of composting process depends on 2-3 things, and one of them is the segregation of waste. If segregation of waste is good, means waste is not containing any toxic material, plastics, polythenes, glass, etc., and waste is containing only non-toxic putrefiable component, that time composting will be of very good quality, and the compost that we will be getting, that will also be of very good quality. So, one process that is very important is the segregation. Second is that the waste should have certain physico-chemical characteristics to have the good quality composting, because composting is a biological process carried out by microorganisms. So, we have to maintain certain conditions for the optimum growth and reproduction of the microorganisms, and these parameters which we should maintain or which our waste should have are CN ratio. The optimum value of CN ratio is 30:1. Then pH of the waste should be in the range of 5 to 9. It has been suggested that the pH of the waste should be kept below 8.5, because if pH is more than 8.5, that may lead to loss of nitrogen in the form of ammonia gas. Then as far as moisture content is concerned, the moisture content of the waste should be in the range of 40 to 70%. The optimum value of the moisture is 55%. As far as temperature is concerned, the temperature that is accepted for the process of composting is 40 to 50 degree Celsius. If temperature goes beyond 60 degrees Celsius, then biological activity is reduced significantly. In case of aerobic composting, oxygen should be available in the range of 5 to 15%. If we look on the process of composting, in case of composting, organic matter is fed to the microorganisms, and microorganism under suitable process conditions convert this organic matter into humus, water, carbon dioxide and heat. Generally, the process of composting is having 3 phases. These phases are mesophilic phase, thermophilic phase and maturation phase. These phases are shown here in this figure also. In mesophilic phase lasts for couple of days, and the temperature in the mesophilic phase is in the range of 40 degree Celsius. Thermophilic phase can last for several days, even up to some months, and in case of thermophilic phase, temperature is from 55 to 65 degree Celsius. Maturation phase is cooling and curing phase, and this may last for several months. Here it is important to mention that at different phases, different kind of microorganisms will be working. In the mesophilic phase, mesophilic microorganism will be working, and in the thermophilic phase, thermophilic microorganism will be working. There are different type of microorganisms that are involved in the process of composting, and these microorganisms include mesophilic and thermophilic bacteria, actinomyces, fungi, protozoa and rotifers. Dear students, please make a list of different type of microorganisms of these groups that are involved in the process of composting. Let me discuss different phases of composting one by one. Phase 1, mesophilic stage. This is the first phase or first stage of composting. At the beginning of composting process, the mesophilic bacteria proliferate and increase the temperature of the pile to 44 degree Celsius. The mesophilic bacteria can even include E. coli and other bacteria from the human intestinal tract. This mesophilic stage lasts for a couple of days, after which the temperature of the pile increases up to 52 degree Celsius. Henceforth, the thermophilic bacteria take over the compost pile. Second phase is thermophilic stage. In the process, thermophilic microorganisms, thermophilic microorganisms are very active and produce a lot of heat. As a result of that, the temperature of pile may go up to 70 degree Celsius. Such high heating lasts only for few days. It remains localized in the upper portion of the pile where the fresh material is being added. At this high temperature, the disease causing organisms and weeds are killed. Even the humic acid production takes place at this high temperature. Humic acid helps plants to assimilate nutrients. Higher the temperature, faster will be the composting. Phase 3, third phase is maturation phase. This phase includes cooling and curing. During this phase, the microorganisms that were replaced by the thermophiles regain in the pile. These help in digesting the coarser and more resistant organic particles. Fungi and microorganisms that break the coarser elements down into humus also invade and move back into the piles. Curing period is an important phase in the composting process because immature compost may be harmful to plants. Uncured compost can produce phytotoxins as they rob the soil of oxygen and nitrogen and can contain higher levels of organic acids. A long curing period that may be for few months after the thermophilic stage adds a safety net for pathogen destruction. Many human pathogens only have a limited period of viability in the soil, and the longer they are subjected to the microbiological competition of the compost pile, the more likely they will die a swift death. This flowchart diagram shows different steps that are involved in the process of composting. These steps are examining feedstock, preparing feedstock, then active composting stage, then recovering bulk agent, then curing, then final screening, then storing, and then finished compost to the bagging section. Let me discuss these steps one by one. First step is examining feedstock. In this step, we remove non-compostable or unacceptable materials from the waste. These materials may include plastic, glass and metal cans. Second step is preparing feedstock. Preparing feedstock step includes shredding, grinding and blending for homogenizing the feedstock in order to provide optimal conditions for active composting. Third step is active composting. This is characterized by increased biological activity resulting in high oxygen demand. Microbial decomposition caused rapid rise in temperature of the feedstock in the range of 55 to 65 degrees Celsius within 24 hours. The heat produced brings down the population of pathogenic microbes to the acceptable limit. Fourth step is recovering bulking agent. Once active composting is over, then we recover coarse materials such as wood chips from the feedstock by passing it through the screens. Then this material that is recovered at this stage can be reused in the fresh process. This stage accelerates the process of composting. Next step is curing. Curing refers to microbes mediated conversion of carbon materials into carbon dioxide and humus, nitrogen into nitrates. Decomposition of complex organic substances such as cellulose and lignin also take place during this stage. Curing can take 8 to 12 months and this includes stability and maturity of the compost. Maturity can be measured by testing the concentration of ammonia or organic acids. Next step is final screening. The cured compost is refined by passing it through the screens. Generally, the screens used for the final screening have size 1 to 1.25 centimeter. Basically, final screening is carried out to remove uncomposted bulky materials. Next step is storing. Compost is stored in such a way that prevents odor development. It is ensured that compost is not contaminated by any weed seeds or leachate. This table shows the optimum conditions for different stages of the composting. Oxygen level should be in the range of 13 to 18% during all the stages. Similarly, free air space in the waste should be in the range of 40 to 60% at all the stages of the composting process, and particle size should be in the range of 3 to 50 mm. Whereas, CN ratio during active composting should be in the range of 25:1 to 30:1. During curing stage, CN ratio should be in the range of 18 to 23, and during storage stage, CN ratio should be in the range of 15 to 20. As far as moisture content is concerned, during active composting, this is in the range of 55 to 65 degrees Celsius. During curing stage, as far as moisture content is concerned, moisture content should be in the range of 55 to 65% during active composting, 45 to 55% during curing stage, and 40 to 45% during the storage stage. Temperature should be in the range of 55 to 60 degrees Celsius during active composting, less than 50 degrees Celsius during curing stage, and ambient temperature during storage stage. The recommended pH during all the stages is 6.5 to 8. Oxygen should not go below 6%, because if oxygen goes below 6%, that may lead to anaerobic conditions in the pipe. The optimal temperature should be maintained, because if we maintain optimum temperature, that leads to faster breakdown of the waste. Temperature above 65 degrees Celsius will affect the microbial activity. Turning of pile is essential, because when we do turning of the pile, that time we maintain aerobic conditions in the pile. Then ingredient is also important. Proper carbon to nitrogen ratio needs to be maintained. CN ratio should be in the range of 25 to 30:1. Particle size and shape, porosity of the pile is also important. Then pile size is also important, because small piles maintain higher internal oxygen concentrations than large piles, but it will not retain heat. If the pile is too small, large piles retain higher temperature than smaller piles, but aeration is insufficient when the pile is too large. Moisture is also very important. Low moisture hinders composting process, because microbes need water and dry pile will become cool, composting is slowed down. Higher moisture content, that is more than 65 or 70%, means the pore spaces which are essential for oxygen, they will be filled with water and there will be insufficient oxygen, and ultimately this will result to anaerobic condition and a hot pile will cool down. Then odor problem will also arise due to anaerobic digestion. Windrow turning is very important. First 3 to 5 days turn daily. Next 3 to 4 weeks turn 1 to 3 times per week. Week 5 to end turn once per week maximum. This turning schedule should be followed to maintain the proper conditions in the pile as well as to maintain the pile as aerobic. This figure shows that what type of materials can be composted. Farm refuse, animal dung and town refuse can be composted. Farm refuse normally contain weeds, crop residues, etc. As far as animal dung is concerned, the dung of any farm animal can be composted. As far as town refuse is concerned, then street refuse, municipality solid waste, night soil, green waste, etc. can be composted. Or in nutshell, we can say that non-toxic organic component of any waste can be composted. There are several composting technologies. Few to name are static pile, open windrow, enclosed channel composting and in-vessel composting. We will be discussing these one by one. Static pile, feedstock preparation, that is size reduction, mixing, etc. The pile or windrow of composting material receives minimal turning, that is 1 to 4 turnings and aeration. It takes longer to produce a finished compost product than with other technologies. In case providing mechanical aeration, that is forced air is injected in the pile, it becomes an aerated static pile. Aeration reduces the processing time required for the composting. An aerated static pile system can be enclosed in a building also. When it will be carried out in a building, that time it may also be called as mechanical composting. In a static pile, waste can be converted in 12 to 18 months into compost. The second technological option is open windrow composting. Feedstock preparation, again that is side reduction and mixing, etc. Large piles or windrows of composting material is composted outdoors on a paved or unpaved surface. Aeration and mixing is provided with a payloader or specialized windrow turners. This method for composting is particularly preferred for leaf and yard waste. Food waste can also be composted outdoors, but care must be taken to ensure that the process is properly managed. Additional aeration can also be provided mechanically. Off gases generated during the composting process can be collected and treated using a biofilter, that is a variety of porous organic materials including a formulation of wood chips, peat and compost. A finished product can typically be produced in 6 to 12 months if this technological option is used. Another technological option is enclosed channel. In this system, composting takes place in channels. Mixing of organic waste is provided with a specialized automated turner that typically straddles the concrete walled channels on rail or wheels. Additional aeration is provided via a mechanical aeration system. All enclosed channel systems will include some level of feedstock preparation, again the same like size reduction, mixing, etc. Materials typically reside in enclosed channel systems from 7 to 28 days. These systems typically employ automated temperature gathering equipments, they are called as thermocouples. These systems typically include a mechanical off gas removal system and odor abatement infrastructure. For odor abatement, generally biofilters are used. After discharge from the channel, compost is cured in a separate area, often employing a windrow type technology. Fourth technological option is in-vessel composting. In this type of systems, composting takes place in a purpose built container or tunnel. A composting system employing this system will have one or a number of containers. This is a modular system. So, additional containers that is to increase the processing capacity can be added as required. In this type of systems, aeration is provided via a mechanical aeration system. All in-vessel systems include some level of feedstock preparation, that is size reduction, mixing, etc. Materials typically reside in in-vessel system from 3 to 14 days. These systems typically employ sophisticated automated temperature gathering equipments, as we have discussed, like thermocouples. These systems include a mechanical off gas removal system also and odor abatement infrastructure also, like biofilters. After discharge from a composting container, compost is cured in a separate area, often employing a windrow type technology. Several technological options for the management of solid waste in rural parts of India or other developing countries have been suggested. These options include pile method of composting, NADEP method of composting, Bangalore method of composting, Indore method of composting, Coimbatore method of composting, then vermicomposting, thermophilic composting, biogas technology or biomethanation. In this module, we will be discussing NADEP method of composting, Bangalore method of composting and Indore method of composting. Remaining options we will be discussing in other modules. Let me come to the NADEP method of composting. The NADEP method of organic composting was developed by a Gandhian follower, Shri N.D. Pandhari Pandey. In this method, compost can be prepared from a wide range of organic materials, including dead plant material such as crop residues, weeds, forest litter, cattle dung and kitchen waste. This method of making compost involves the construction of a simple rectangular brick tank with enough spaces maintained between the bricks for necessary aeration. The size of tank is 3 meter into 1.8 meter or 3.6 meter into 1.5 meter. Internally, with 25 centimeter thick perforated brick wall all around in mud or cement mortar to a height of 0.9 meter above ground. The above ground perforated structure facilitates passage of air for aerobic decomposition. The floor of the tank is laid with bricks. The ingredient for making compost are agro-waste, animal dung and soil in the ratio of 45:5:50 by weight. The ingredients are added in layers starting with vegetable matter, means the first layer will be of vegetable matter, then followed by dung, means second layer will be of animal dung, and then followed by soil, means third layer will be of soil. So, first layer of vegetable matter, second layer of animal dung and third layer of soil, and this order is followed again and again. Each layer can be of about 45 kilogram vegetable matter, 5 kilogram of dung mixed in 70 liters of water and 50 kilogram of soil, so that 30 layers will fill in the tank. After 15 to 30 days of filling, the organic biomass in the tank gets automatically pressed down by 2 feet. The tank is refilled by giving additional 2 to 3 layers over it, and this is resealed. After this refilling, the tank is not disturbed for about 3 months. When organic matter are almost completely degraded by the different groups of microorganisms, about 22 to 50 liters of water is sprinkled twice a week after the tank is fully loaded. This slide shows the picture of a actual NADEP method tank used for composting. You will see that this tank is made up of brick and this is having perforated walls, and these perforated walls are there for the oxygen supply. The another figure is the cross section of the NADEP method tank. Here you will find in this the first layer, that is at the bottom, that is of green waste or biomass. Second layer is of animal dung, then third layer is of soil, and then these layers are repeated again and again in the same order. Second method is Bangalore method of composting. Acharya in 1939 initiated the work of composting the town refuse and night soil. This process is also called hot fermentation mechanism of composting or the Bangalore method. Because this method was developed at Bangalore, that is why this method is called as Bangalore method. This method is anaerobic in nature and carried out in pits. Initially, the waste is anaerobically stabilized in pits, where alternate layers of organic waste and animal dung is laid. The pit method of making compost conserves moisture. So, it is useful in those areas that have low rainfall and have a long dry season. This method should not be used in wet areas, because in water areas, due to rainfall, the compost may become waterlogged. In this method, we dig a pit of about 4 feet width and 2 feet depth. We built a pile in the pit using the same method as we have discussed in the NADEP method. Then we add little water if necessary. The pit is completely filled and a final soil layer is laid to prevent fly breeding, entry of rainwater into the pit. The material is allowed to decompose for 4 to 6 months, after which the stabilized material is taken out and used as compost. The Bangalore method requires longer time for stabilization of the material and hence needs larger land space. The gases generated in this anaerobic process may also pose smell and odor problems. The next method of composting is Indore method of composting. This process was developed by Howard and Ward in 1931 at Indore, Madhya Pradesh. That is why this method is called as Indore method of composting. This method is aerobic in nature. In this method, waste materials like plant residues, animal waste, weeds, street refuse and other organic waste can be composted. The waste materials are cut into small pieces and spread in layers of 10 to 15 centimeter thickness, either in pits or in heap of 1 meter width, 1 meter depth and of convenient length. It is properly moistened with cow dung using earth. Periodically, 3 to 4 turnings are given to the waste material to maintain the aerobic conditions. This method of composting in pits involves filling of alternate layers of similar thickness as in Bangalore method. For starting the turning operation, the first turn is manually given 4 to 7 days after filling the pit or heap. The second turn is given after 5 to 10 more days. Third turn is also given after 5 to 10 days. Further turning is normally not required and the compost is ready in 4 to 5 weeks. In this method, odorous gases are not generated and this process is environment friendly, hence this method is commonly preferred. Several scientists have put a question mark on the composting technology. They say that when you are using the composting, you should take care of 3-4 points, because during composting, if proper process conditions are not maintained, ammonia gas may also be produced and that ammonia gas may be released into environment and may cause environmental problems. In case of anaerobic composting, methane gas is produced and methane gas is a global warming gas, although methane is produced in smaller quantities. So, this is also a point of concern. Third issue may be due to odor and smell. It has been reported from several places that if proper process conditions are not maintained, that time odor problem may be there and that may result into agitations in the local communities. So, to summarize this module, in this module we have learned that what is composting, what are the properties of a good compost. We studied about different phases of composting and different steps involved in the composting process. We also studied composting technologies that are available to us and we also studied composting technologies that can be used in rural areas. Along with that, we studied different factors that influence compost preparation using composting process. I hope you have enjoyed this module. Thank you.